It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stone to face, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness. Just record. Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast Baseball Talk. We got the state of Missouri. We got stuff coming up here, folks. And as always, I'm joined by the Guru, Mr. Kevin Moulder. How you doing, buddy?
Doing really well. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. We're lots of baseball. We're just rolling through it yesterday, all day at the ballpark. And it's a great venue. I love calling baseball from Carshield Field. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's as good of a setup as you're going to get for high school baseball. Especially for calling a game like in your shoes, right? You got the booth right there, best look in the park.
It's a lot
good sized venue.
Yeah.
Both seating wise and dimension wise for a high school baseball game. I think it's great.
And we've been having a good time with it. And I love doing the interviews after our player of the game. We had some really good pitching matchups yesterday. We saw Richie Swain. We saw Carter Hollingsworth. We saw in game 2, we saw Cam Lohman. Real deal. That was fun.
Yes, sir.
5 innings pitched. He had 11 Ks. South was outmatched, period. And I don't mean nothing bad about those kids, but they were just
understandably so. I think, most teams would have been, and there was a reason there was, 12 to 15 pro guys there to see Mr. Lohman. So that was, there's a reason they're there.
Absolutely. And it's funny. 5th inning, he finishes, doesn't come back out to the mound in the 6th, and it's the mass exodus.
Oh, yeah. We're on to the next game.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
The next city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was fun watching Cam pitch. We saw Henry Vetter and Jack Cowling in the nightcap. Both guys pitched very well. Jack Cowling coming off. I didn't know he had a broken thumb. He's coming back from that and looked very good.
That's a bunch of good pitching yesterday.
Right. That's, I think, what makes the GAC so tough, bud. I mean, there is pitching galore in this conference, up and down, north, central, south.
And that's why you see a team come out and almost always make the Final Four, and because they're all battle tested. If you survive that gauntlet, you're going to be battle tested and ready to, make a run in the postseason. Now, obviously, their teams it's dog eat dog, and they kind of eliminate each other a lot of the times. But whoever survives that is good enough to win state every single year. Not that they do win state, but they have that type of team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to go around the state yesterday, and we're looking at some teams. We're going to talk about some overall look at things. The one that stands out to me is Glendale, 6-6. I mean, Willard rolled over them yesterday, 13-3. Glendale, it's interesting. They got pieces. Will they put it together?
They lost their ace pitcher last year, Drew Wedgeworth, who's now at Missouri State. They do have 2 super exciting, talented players. Sebastian Norman is one of the top positional player prospects in the state, signed with Oklahoma State, and they have one of the best sophomores in the state in Brady Yates. So they have a couple good pieces, but as you know, Brian, it takes, and that's the great thing about baseball. It takes a team. You got to have the pitching, you got to have the defense. It's more than just 1 or 2 good players. So right now it seems like they're struggling a little bit to find themselves and to get their identity. And, they have talent, and they still have a little bit of time. We still got 3 or 4 weeks till the postseason. So, we've seen teams like this. I remember, I don't know, it's probably 3-4 years ago now when Lindbergh had one of those seasons where before the season, we all thought, hey, there's a top 5 or 6 team in the state. And then they came out of the gates and they really stumbled. They played 500 baseball, and then they found themselves again, and they ended up making a run and made the Final Four. I don't know if you remember that or not, but so you do see that happened in 2019 with DeSmet, who had about a 500. In fact, I think they were one game under 500 in the regular season, and then won state. So Glendale has the talent and ability. It's just finding themselves as a team. We'll see what happens over here over the next 3 or 4 weeks.
The interesting one to me is when you're talking about Class 6. I'm gonna use Justin Tao, head coach at Rockbridge. His what he said Monday night. He said we're playing like mini college baseball.
Well, and that's a true statement with Rockbridge, and this is known. And I'm at games with other colleges, and we talk. Rockbridge is run very similar to a college program, and it's like a mini college baseball program, basically. And that's why they're always in the mix, whether they have an abundance of talent or just pretty good talent-wise. They're always going to be super competitive because they do a great job with their program. And Coach Tao is one of the best.
Yeah, and when he was talking, you look at the landscape of the top end of Class 6, it's small college baseball. You got to come out. He said, because we were talking about the Columbia tournament, he said it was really clean. There was a lot of really high-level baseball being played, and that really kind of is a separator for a lot of teams. Agreed?
Oh, absolutely. I was there at the Columbia tournament. Great baseball. That's for our, that was the best you can do in our state. That was a lot of the best teams were there. Great coaches, all the way around. Really, really clean baseball, like you said, and it's great because you get teams from St. Louis, Springfield, the middle of the state, Kansas City, and it's all subjective. Hey, I think so and so is the best team, and Kansas City guy says I think that team's the best. But now you get them together and you can find out on the field, and that was a fun weekend, and that's always my favorite tournament of the year. There's some other great tournaments, but that's the one that truly has representation from all parts of the state, and they do a great job with that tournament. Yeah.
Finish out around the Southwest Republic. Beat Webb City yesterday. Nixa, Kickapoo, Nixa and Kickapoo both won. Kickapoo beat Ozark, which I think is a good win for them. Marshfield, Class 5 school down there, keeps winning. They beat Branson 10-0. So I think
Marshfield's one not to sleep on.
Right?
They're real. That's a good team. That will be one to follow over the next couple of weeks.
We have Marshfield ranked number 10 in our Class 5 rankings, and I think that's legitimate. I really do. They're playing a good schedule too.
Yeah, they could maybe even be a little higher than that.
Oh, I like that. Carl Junction got a win over Logan Rogersville. And then I love the small school stuff, man. Lamar, Class 3. Lamar Tigers beat Seneca 4-1. Both teams have really solid records through the season, winning good games. And Fairgrove is another one in Class 3, Kevin. Yep. They beat Stratford yesterday. That's a good baseball team, Fairgrove.
Absolutely. Another small school I want to give a shout out to. We had St. Elizabeth in the Columbia tournament. And, it's one thing. Class 3, Class 4, Blair Oaks is always in that tournament. They are very competitive and, great program. St. Elizabeth is a Class 1, and they jumped in there and competed. So hats off to them for jumping in with into the deep end of the pool. And they hung in there. You're going to take some lumps, and what we've had this conversation that a lot of times the difference between Class 1 and the bigger schools is when everything is right and they're rested and they got their pitcher on the mound, they can line up and be competitive. Well, Columbia tournament, you're going to play 5-6 games in a week, so it's the depth issue, and it caught up to them a couple games, but they hung in there very well. So hats off to St. Elizabeth's, and they'll be better for it. And it wouldn't shock me at all if that's the I don't want to make a prediction on that, but they're going to be very competitive in Class 1, and it won't surprise me at all to see them in Springfield at the end of the year.
I got another Class 1 we'll get to here in just a moment, too. And St. Elizabeth got a win on Saturday, too, in that tournament. So that's a tough one. Central Missouri, man, Jeff City, they keep winning. That's a scary good team.
I saw Jeff City last week. Obviously, they have our state's top prospect in Jordan Martin. So saw him pitch, and he's the type of guy that always is a late starter. He's a high-end basketball player, and when I say high-end, like he had 40-point nights multiple times this season. So he's in basketball mode. He's kind of a slower starter. Velocity's starting to get back up there. Was in the low 90s up to 93. Had a great outing the game I was at. But there's a lot of depth there. Senior Ethan Lip just set the school record for triples. He can flat hit. Bodie Shennework is a sophomore shortstop for him. Kind of an electric player. So they got a really good club. Eli Miller's banged up, but is supposed to be back before the postseason, which would be a nice boost for their team. Jeff City is going to have a shot here down the stretch, so that will be a fun follow as well.
It's going to be interesting to see which one of these teams, and then when we get into that quarterfinal, who gets Willard, who gets Vianney. You know what I mean?
The draw, that's a big piece of it, Brian.
Right. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm getting pumped up. Rockbridge wins again in the Metro St. Charles area. Fort Zumwalt West keeps rolling. We're going to see them today. We got the GAC Classic. We start off with Hal and Hal North. Hal North gave Hal all they wanted yesterday. Carson Howard pitched well. It was a 2-1 ball game.
They have a nice 1-2 setup. At the beginning of the year, you kind of, maybe call them a pleasant surprise, if you will. I'm willing just to disregard that tag now on them. They're good. You roll out two guys like that, you're going to be competitive with Carson Howard, and Carter Stover has been as good as anyone in terms of results around the area. He's punching out over 13 a game. I think he has 57 strikeouts on the season. So there's a reason they're as competitive as they are. That you got a 1-2 like that, you're going to be super competitive. Now, obviously, Francis Howell has that. There's other teams that have it. But those teams that we've talked about at length and were kind of more well-known heading into the season. And
to me, when you look at District 3, I think Hal North is one of the favorites. I think it's them and SLU right now. CBC could win it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I still think they're up and down too much. I think Hal North has the pitching and the experience that way with those guys. You got SLU, who just took a loss to Vianney yesterday, but still a very good baseball team. So District 3 there, I think, is going to be in that race. DeSmet, they're struggling hard.
They are. They have the talent to put something together, so that will be interesting. That would be another team. We had that conversation about Glendale. I would throw DeSmet into that conversation, Lee Summit West. I would also throw into that conversation that, hey, they could wake up. Don't leave them for dead quite yet. There's talent there. They could find things. Clearly not the start any of those three teams we're looking for, but they're not short on ability. So I'm not willing to write them off, and certainly you wouldn't want to play them first round of a tournament. Like when you get a high seed and they get a lower seed because they have the poor record.
Be careful.
We'll be interested.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. So we're got
the other thing on those districts, and we're a month away or whatever. I haven't examined each district to see how the schedule layout can be interesting. So sometimes they play 3 days in a row. Sometimes there's a day off. Sometimes they take a weekend off. That also, the format has something to do with, because sometimes you can throw your one in the first game, and then by the championship game, there's 4 days off in between. Sometimes they're all 3 days in a row, so you have to have three different starters and even like different relievers. So that's a huge piece of the equation on that as well.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about, because honestly, the power rankings, I think I'm going to switch this, because to me, the conference stuff is cool and fine. But if you start doing some power rankings based on districts, you got some interesting dynamics and where a guy's fitting in. I think that's where a lot of coaches are starting to look at right now, how they're getting seeded for districts, where they're playing. I'm sure people want to win their conference. That's fine and whatnot. But coaches, from what I've talked to, are starting to look at the district format and start looking at their seeding, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. The conference, they definitely want to win. But district seeding at the end of the day is, that's their path to the Final Four and ultimately winning a state championship. So they're going to put a lot of stock into their district seeding, and they're all jockeying for position down the stretch here.
Absolutely. You got the Metro St. Louis area. Summit, big win, beat Eureka yesterday 5-4. That's a good win for that Falcon squad. I like that one. Of course, we said Vianney over SLU. Lindbergh, big win over Lafayette. Seckman, a good win over Oakville. Marquette, Parkway South, Kirkwood, all win. I'm going to give this one to you. The Kirkwood, Kevin's going to drop a nugget on you.
Well, I saw yesterday Jacob Nolan for Kirkwood during their big win over Parkway Central tied a state home run record for in-game home runs or single-game home runs. He had 4 homers yesterday, went 5 for 5, 4 homers, a double, and 13 RBIs. So thought that was a noteworthy thing. And I was at the game when Victor Quinn hit 4 homers for Liberty against Webster at Webster. I was obviously not at the Kirkwood game yesterday, but I saw that and I was like, oh, that's a state record, ties a state record. So 4 homers. I still remember, when I was young, growing up watching Cardinal baseball. I remember Mark Whitten, hard-hitting Mark Whitten, hitting 4 homers in a game. So that's quite an accomplishment.
That's a feat, man. Congratulations to Jacob Nolan. That's awesome. Keep it up, young man. We're going to see. We'll be we will be at Kirkwood. Rescheduled game. Webster Grove's coming on Friday, May 2nd. So we'll get to see Jacob Nolan then. I think that deserves a helmet sticker. Go ahead. Why not? Absolutely.
I don't know what does if that doesn't. So.
Right. Exactly. Pattonville beat Fox. We were talking about that. We were talking about power rankings in conference. Fox drops one there that I think, Pattonville isn't in our top 10. So that's interesting. John Burroughs. What do you think of John Burroughs? 10-3, class 5.
Yeah, they have a great group. A couple years ago, they made it to the state finals. So really, really good program, and they're stacking up some wins this year.
I'll tell you what, the St. Louis Suburban Conference is, to me, just kind of like, wow, I don't know that there's any real top seed. Eureka in their arms, I think they'll figure it out towards the end, right?
Yeah, they are. I like Eureka a lot.
Mhm.
They're going to be without their starting catcher, Carson Ludhauser, for about a month, who dislocated his catching thumb. So he is supposed to be back for the postseason, but that's obviously a big hit for them. He was hitting in the middle of their lineup, and they clearly have a ton of talented pitchers there. Not that they don't have good other catchers, but that's a hit. He was is one of the state's top catchers.
Man, that's tough. Over in KC Metro, I got another Class 1 school for you here. We got a chance to talk to the head coach of the Northland Christian High School Trailblazers, David Starnes. This is their 5th year in existence, Kevin. And they've already won 2 district titles. They're, I think they've only lost 3 games so far this year. And they played St. Pius X yesterday and beat them 3-2.
That's a good win for them.
Right? So
yes.
We had Coach Starnes on the show Monday night, got a chance to talk to him about the program and the kids and whatnot and building that culture. So this is a program we're going to keep an eye on a little bit over there, and enjoyed that conversation with Coach Starnes over there. So Northland Christian, watch the Trailblazers. That's like that St. Elizabeth group. There's some really good Class 1 schools there that can compete at a high level.
Absolutely. I don't want to leave out Oran is Class 1 as well, aren't they?
Yep.
So it's not like St. Elizabeth has a clear path, but I expect them to be in the mix, and we there's certainly a couple other good ones out there.
We do our must-see games, and today, we got one on here. I'll pull this up real quick. Hang on, I got to get to it because we're talking about small schools. I think this is fantastic opportunity and this is why we do this with our must-see games, because I love giving these shout-outs to these guys. I mean, this is huge. You got a great matchup here in Southeast Missouri with Chaffee and the Bernie Mules. You've ever heard of Burnham High School?
I have not. And that's hard for someone to do. Throw that by me.
Class 2. They're 10-5. Chaffee, Class 2, 12-0.
Now, Chaffee has a good history, and I've been to Chaffee multiple times. That's a good program just south of Cape Girardeau, and they've put out some good ones. So that is not surprising. In fact, they're in my small school on deck to see them with a 12-0 record.
Very good. We got a must-see game today with our Class 2 there. I love that. You're going to get Scott City, the Rams down there, playing good baseball. As you said, Oran is there. There's a couple others down that way. Valley Catholic. My goodness.
Yeah. I believe they only have 1 loss.
I think it's 2. I think they've lost 2.
Do they have 2?
Yeah, I think it's 2.
Okay.
1, 2.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're playing Joe Schmoes. They're playing who'd they beat the other day? It was a class. Oh, they beat Duchesne.
Defending state champs.
Exactly.
I was out and I saw Duchesne earlier this week. Ended up losing a tough game, but Duchesne looks good again this year, and
we got them
to make another run.
Yeah, we got them in the top 10 in Class 4. I think they're a solid team. Even I was surprised that I thought there might be a little bit more of a learning curve there, but they're not. And not to mention, they don't have TJ Greasy, their number 1 pitcher from last year.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive.
Very impressive. Yeah. And now will he get back? Will he have a chance to get back or not?
I don't think he's going to pitch again this year. I don't. I think he might be swinging it, but I don't know that I know he's not pitching.
Valley Catholic is 18-1, so they're just the one loss to Class 6 Kirkwood, who's having a pretty nice year. But yeah, they have wins over Hillsboro, Festus, Chaminade, Cape Central, Duchesne, so St. Louis Patriots. So they have some really nice wins. That's quite a group.
I think they're one of the favorites in Class 2. I do. That's a good baseball team.
Hard to say otherwise.
Right?
Not gonna argue.
Absolutely. And so we've got some must-see games there. Staley and Liberty North are duking it out today. Gotta love that one.
That'll be a showdown. That Staley outfit is really good, and Liberty North is just super consistent. And even when you they move some guys on, graduate guys, and you think they're going to take a step back, they pounce right back.
Absolutely. Another must-see game, St. Michael the Archangel, our top 10 in Class 4, taking on number 3, Father Tolton. Another Dukaroo there. I think that ought to be I'm looking forward to seeing who comes out on top of that. I'd love to go watch that game.
That would be a good one.
Right? Another one close to home, another challenge for Blair Oaks and Union, in my opinion. You got Blair Oaks visiting Union. Union's been, I think they're for real. They're going to challenge in Class 5. The measuring stick in Class 5 is Willard. Vianney's now in Class 5, so you have to deal with them. But I always, Willard how do you compete with Willard, right? Year in, year out. I think Union has some pieces to be able to do that.
What separates Union from a lot of other teams is they have a really deep pitching staff, especially for Class 5. So they got a ton of pitching depth. I saw them earlier this season. Really strong team. It will be interesting to see how they match up when the time comes with the Vianney and the likes of a Willard. I would agree with your assessment. I think Willard is kind of set the standard, and Vianney's like that boxer that's dropping down a class. He dropped 10 pounds and he's going to fight down a class. Kind of my analogy there with Vianney, because that they are clearly one of the title contenders there at Class 5.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. They haven't lost yet.
No, and to be real honest, like, they're the most talented team in Class 5. That doesn't mean they're going to win Class 5, but talent-wise, they stand out, especially at Class 5.
Absolutely. Another must-see, Park Hill South taking on Liberty. Liberty's Kansas City taking it on the chin the last week or so. Had some losses. I think they'll be fine, but that happens. Yeah,
and they've played a hellacious schedule, as in a very challenging one. So they're they have taken some losses, but they've played a great schedule. We talk about this, I feel like, almost every show. Teams that go out and challenge themselves, put themselves in harm's way, but it pays dividends. And Liberty is clearly one of those programs that'll take on all comers. They have bounced back this week with a couple wins over Kickapoo here recently. So we'll see. They got Park Hill South, and they're challenging themselves again with an out-of-state tournament in the River City Series over in the Kansas area, but taking on some of the top Kansas teams.
Last must-see game, I got the Farmington Knights, who are coming off a tough loss. Fredericktown, the Black Cats of Fredericktown down South County there, took down the Farmington Knights 2-1 yesterday, and now they got to turn around and host Jackson.
Doesn't get easier.
No. Maybe they
The
were
Indians are
overlooking
tougher than the
Fredericktown a
Black
little bit.
Cats. I can.
Maybe they were overlooking the Fredericktown Black Cats a little bit.
It's a great nickname. That could go up there with the Cupies. Yeah, would be the old nickname.
I love that
Unique
stuff,
nickname.
man.
Yes.
It's funny when you start looking at around the state, especially the smaller schools, some of the names. I mean, every class 3 and school is almost around has the mules. They're the mules. Lathrop, Lone Jack. You got Bernie. Everybody's the mules. It's hilarious, man. It's hilarious. But that's our must-see games. We're going to finish out. Kevin and I were talking about some of the freshmen that he's looked at coming on the list that are making impacts on the varsity level. I don't have much from. I didn't see him on the roster. Keelan Zumwalt at Summit Christian, or Cameron Gillespie in some of the games for Liberty, but we did see that Crew Patrick is playing for Staley here and there. Any thoughts on those 3 guys?
Yeah. This is shaping up to be a super talented class. Keelan Zumwalt, got a really good look at him. He was the number 1 pitcher and one of the top bats on the Missouri Junior Future Games team that won the title last summer. Left-handed hitter, can really hit. Also mid-80s on the mound, up to 85, left-handed arm. Has an older brother that is committed to Pitt, who we brought to the future game. So good bloodlines there. He is our top ranked player in the state, and is also nationally regarded. So that will be a name you will continue to hear moving forward. Cam Gillespie, super athletic shortstop over at Liberty, Kansas City. And, the thing about the freshmen so much of it is about, you don't, at least I don't, take into consideration, hey, they're on the varsity or not. You don't know how every high school program kind of treats freshmen differently. Some kind of have almost an unwritten rule. They won't play guys on varsity. Other guys have to have them on varsity for a number standpoint. Sometimes there's just a path. Like there's no one else at a certain position. So they're on the varsity. So if a kid isn't on the varsity team as a freshman, I personally do not view that as a strike against them whatsoever.
Right.
I almost only view it as positive. And you've also seen freshmen come up and just be bad statistically. And I also really don't hold that against them as well. But when they do well, you certainly put that as a feather in their cap. And one would be Brady Rallo, who's having a great season for CBC, both offensively and on the mound. He's swinging the bat, and they're putting him right in the fire. He bats right in the middle of the lineup, and pitches, and he is taken off and done well.
Rollo's got 44 plate appearances. Okay, he's slashing 343, 452, 514.
Yeah, so there you go. And again, good bloodlines there.
By the way, a double, a triple, and a home run.
No big deal. No big deal. Another one contributing in a big way is Nolan Ash over at Southern Boone, starting at shortstop for Southern Boone, one of the top small schools in the state. We already mentioned Crew Patrick, but he's Tulane over at Staley, and Staley's just one of the top teams in the state. So for him to be contributing at the varsity level is really impressive. One that is not on the varsity team right now, but in terms of stuff is one of the more interesting guys is Jackson Leonard, who's a 6'4" right-handed pitcher who's up to 89 on the mound and triple digits on the exit velos. That's going to be a name to know. One other interesting one to have an eye on, and just generally have an eye on, would be Caden Jackman out of Kirkwood, an elite athlete, was just drafted by a junior hockey league in the OHL in Canada. So he is an elite baseball player. It will be interesting to see which direction he ends up going. He is a highly regarded hockey player, so he could go a different direction. But for now, he's making a huge impact at Kirkwood. I think he's leading off and he's helping on the mound as well. So
26 plate appearances.
Athlete.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin. 26 plate appearances, 450, 577, 460. He's got 7 runs scored, 3 RBIs for Kirkwood.
And I know that he missed part of the season due to a national hockey tournament in Canada. So he missed a week or two of the season for that. John Caltatera over at Lindbergh has been performing really well.
Yes.
He's hitting over 300 with, I think, 5 doubles, double-digit innings on the mound with good numbers. That's big physical kid, and he could do either one. He could end up being more of a pitcher or more of a hitter. He's a true two-way guy. Jack Sutherland down at Logan Rogersville, swinging the bat really well. Corey Hiltzinger at Seckman, left-hander. I really like Corey a lot. He's high pitch ability. Yeah. One day this kid's going to throw really hard too. He's going to be one of the top left-handers in this class. Jack Bogard is starting to crack the lineup here and there with a very, very talented Francis Howell team. So that ain't easy today to do. That great. And Jack was a part of the Missouri Future Games team. Just a hard-nosed player, middle infielder.
Great hands, Kevin.
Yes. Yeah, middle infielder. He can play. So there's Ryan Caffey starting at Kirkwood as a freshman, plus catch and throw defender, holding his own offensively. So this is Bo Robbins, left-handed, big 6'3" left-hander over at St. Clair's, an interesting guy that's already running it up into the low 80s as a freshman. That's going to be another one to keep an eye on.
I like the kids over at Benton. Porter McCarthy. Yesterday, Benton got a much-needed win against a really good Class 5 school in Smithville. He was 4 for 5 with three runs scored, 2 RBIs. And then Xander Tiller was 1 for 4 in that game with a double, RBI and a run scored, and a base on balls. He had a stolen base. Those 2 freshmen. And, from our side, we've seen Benton hovering around that 500, but you got a lot of these young kids in that starting line. There is, the Chris Coy kid, but he's got a lot of youth behind him.
Yes, and those 2 are both highly regarded in the class. And with Benton, and we talk about this with the small schools when we do these rankings, Benton goes out and challenges themselves, and not only challenges themselves, they're playing up in class. They'll take on all comers. So, you see them with some blemishes on the record, but really, when they're playing their class, it's a different story. So, you try to balance out. Hey, this team's 15-1, but who are they playing? Versus the team that might be 9-8. But has losses to, Staley and Liberty, and so it's, you kind of appreciate their approach. So someone might say, hey, how is this team that's 9-8 ranked above the team that is 14-2? Right. Well, we look at the records and balance that out. I don't hold it against you if I don't think that's the right approach. If you're going to go out and challenge yourself and play the best there is, I think that pays off down the road.
Yeah, Benton is one of those that has had some losses against their own class that probably a little uncharacteristic, but I think it's because of this youth. They have a little more youth than I thought they did. And of course, we don't get to see them all the time, right? So that's the difficulty in what you do, because there's some losses I'm like, wow, that's a little uncharacteristic. This is the first win in a few weeks that they've had against a really good team. Smithville has been beating up on folks, and good teams, they play that record too. So I think it's going to be interesting to see if Benton can get that momentum, as you're talking about right there, towards districts, Kevin.
Yeah, and Smithville's very good in their own right. That is a great win. They're one of the better teams in the Kansas City area.
Yeah, that is a good win. When I saw that, I was like, ooh, there you go. That's interesting. Yeah. So, that freshman class is getting it done in there, aren't they?
They are. A lot of contributors. It's going to be exciting.
I think so, man. We got some good stuff going on around the state. We got some good baseball today. I know you're going to be out checking out the talent.
Always. Got another beautiful day. We got real baseball weather, Brian. It's like
That's
approaching
a bonus.
80 degrees. We can deal with this.
I can wear short sleeves.
This is when I always want to just like press pause, right? And like, can we just stay like between 75 and 80? Like, and just, we have been known to go from winter, week of spring, straight into humid and ridiculous summer temperatures.
Yes, indeed. It's unfortunate, but that
here.
is Missouri.
Yes.
As always, my friend, that's I love the knowledge. Appreciate it.
A lot of fun.
Absolutely. Folks, enjoy your baseball day. We'll be back Monday night. Make sure. Well, tomorrow we're going to be talking about Illinois baseball. So make sure you tune in. Got Diego Solares coming back, talking all about the Illinois side. We're looking forward to continuing to grow that part of it and get more information. Monday nights, live, 6 p.m. Make sure you tune in to the press box. We got our contributors. We're doing interviews with coaches. We're having a lot of fun with that. And we reveal our power rankings. That's always a lot of fun. And we get our feedback. We enjoy it. We love the conversation. So until then, everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, Kevin, what do they got to do?
Keep throwing strikes.
Hitters, hit them where they ain't. We'll see y'all next time.